Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll be discussing From Points of 3 by White-Eared. Before we get into the video though, I do need to apologize. I have had a cold this week, so if I sound a little weird and nasally, that's why. I apologize, but enough of that, let's move into the video. Before we get started, there will be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiling this manhwa, go ahead and click off now. No worries, I'll catch you next time. For those of you left behind, let's go over some content warnings. There may be references to BDSM, stalking, sextortion, extortion, dubious consent, cheating, manipulation, and violence, as these things do appear in the manhwa. But if that's all good with you, let's go and get started. Jisa is in a lot of debt. Due to his last relationship, which ended in Jisa having to bail out his cheating boyfriend from some thugs using all of his savings and loans, Jisa has trouble trusting anyone. He's more than happy to form a physical relationship with someone, but if there's even a chance he could get hurt, he's quick to cut ties and run. This rule still applies even to the famous actor Woo Hee-jae. Jisa happens to meet Hee-jae on a drama set where he's filming, and Hee-jae is the lead actor. Hee-jae isn't initially drawn to him as he's pretty plain looking, but then Jisa calls Hee-jae a snake. Having never been perceived in such a way, Hee-jae is immediately attracted to Jisa's view of things. So, Hee-jae comes up with a plan to pull Jisa into his grasp. In exchange for helping pay off Jisa's debt, Hee-jae wants Jisa to film him and his partner Sun-yul during their BDSM play. And while Jisa's role as a viewer, he imagines himself as a participant. What a surprise it is when Hee-jae reaches out to him and invites him to join them. It's just a physical relationship. Nothing could go wrong, right? First things first, let's talk about the artwork. It's fine. I've read this around 3 times now and I can't decide if I like it or hate it. I certainly don't love it, but there are moments where it's particularly sketchy and disproportionate and others where it looks really lovely. Sun-yul is probably the best looking and most consistently well drawn of the cast, which is unfortunate since for most of the main story he's the second choice, and he's often there just to cause drama between Jisa and Hee-jae. Jisa is pretty plain looking, which I think works for him and his personality. I think he's described as tofu at some point in the author's notes, which is absolutely perfect. The most disappointing design and probably the most inconsistent is Hee-jae. Very rarely is there a male lead that isn't my type, but Hee-jae might be one of the few. He's supposed to be a handsome actor who's cool, calm, and collected, but I think he's actually very plain and dull looking. Tofu Jisa is more interesting than he is, and Jisa's more attractive in my opinion. Is the art terrible? No. But is it exciting or interesting? I wouldn't say so either. The epilogue for Sun-yul has some really great art, but it's just disappointing that it isn't that way all the way through. I also feel this one is a bit deceiving. The title From Points of 3 implies that we'll get 3 different viewpoints and that the love triangle will play a significant role. We do get 3 different viewpoints, but the third point, Sun-yul's, is pretty much non-existent until the end after everything, and it's relegated to a side story. But overall, his role is really just a minor character. It was a bit disappointing because part of the allure is the prospect of the love triangle and the dynamic of these 3 individuals together, but it really only happens once, then it's just the story of Hee-jae and Jisa, with Sun-yul popping in and out from time to time. I really loved the first couple of episodes when they had their threesome dynamic, and I wish that had been further developed before Jisa focused on Hee-jae. If you're hoping for more of that threesome dynamic between these 3, I'm sorry to say that you'll be disappointed. Now, this is something I usually wouldn't point out, but this is a pretty unique situation. There are a lot of grammar issues and typos in this. There are very few manhwa out there that you'll find to be perfectly translated and perfectly edited. There are always going to be 1 or 2 typos or grammar mistakes, which is totally fine. However, I find this one to have way more than usual. It's disappointing and jarring how many there are. There are enough in here that I feel I have to mention it, as I feel the amount might severely turn some people off in this official release. Now at this point I feel like I've only been negative, but I want to be clear and say that I did like this. One of the best parts about this is Jisa. Usually when the main character discovers that they have been betrayed or manipulated, they just fall apart. Maybe they break up with their partner for a time, but inevitably they get back together. This does a pretty impressive bait and switch, with Jisa seemingly accepting Hee-jae's apology and moving in with him, when in reality, he plans on manipulating Hee-jae and getting revenge. I loved that so much. Unfortunately, it wasn't executed all that well, but it was still interesting to see it done. Also, Sunyul is great. I wish he had been the main lead because he was a ray of sunshine among a bunch of storm clouds. Looking at you, Ji-sun Hee-jae. I'm so glad he got his happy ending in the side stories. His side story is the part I find myself returning to the most, and it is the strongest narratively and art-wise. So if you're willing to work your way through the main story, then I think you'll find it was well worth it for Sunyul's story. With all that being said, would I readily recommend this? Probably not. It's okay, but there are so many stronger BL manhwa, both in the story and in the quality of the art. I'm glad I read it, but I don't think I would have missed much if I hadn't. The threesome was fun, but I really needed more for it to have been worth it. Sunyul makes this entire series, which is unfortunate since he doesn't get much of a role until his side story, but once he takes center stage, he is truly the star. It is unfortunate that if you want to read this, it was formerly on Lezen, but it has been dropped, and as far as I can tell, it's not available officially anywhere else. Hopefully it will be picked up somewhere else, but we'll just have to wait and see. So, have you read From Points of Three? If so, what do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? Do you not? Let me know and comment below. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Bye!